What is up, all my dorks, nerds, geeks, and gamers? It's your host, Ghost here, and you're watching a brand new episode of Dorks Movie Minute. Today we're going to be discussing and reviewing The King's Man. I'm a huge Kingsman fan. I love the first one and The Golden Circle as well. So when they announced a prequel movie to show us how the origin of the Kingsman was going to happen, I was definitely all for it. I was all in. And with the same director of the original two movies. I think he does a great job again here as well. The action scenes are just as well directed, fast-paced, especially this fight scene with Rasputin. He's using this Russian dancing and he's like spinning around, and a very cool action scene between him and the two main characters. The one spot I think this movie faltered the most, that I'm going to take some points away from, is there's this whole B story with the son character where he's going through World War I, or I think it's World War I. But it's all about him leaving home and fighting on the front lines and getting this courage to do more. And then at the very end of the flashback, like you're following, I'm telling you, this movie starts and you're following this son character for a good half the movie. I'm going to say half the movie. Then you get to this flashback scene and the son ends up dying at the very end of the scene in the war. And that's kind of what pushes the father character to start the Kingsmen with his other cohorts that he's already been doing missions with around the world, such as stopping Rasputin and all this other things. Which leads to World War I, and then that ties to all the history of the Kingsmen and how it ties into all this. But we do get to see the start of how they have their suits, how they use the King Arthur names and stuff like that, because the son characters would like to call them by those names as a kid. And so the father character kind of implemented that into the Kingsman regiment, and that's kind of why we have Sir Galahad and Arthur and Merlin and all these other names and stuff like that. I would have loved to see a little bit of Eggsy's father, just a little bit of flash forward or something, just so we can have that connection to the modern story that's being told with the Kingsman movies, but we don't get that here at all, and that's why I'm going to take just a few points away from this movie, because it's definitely not a perfect movie. The action scenes are well done, the dialogue is pretty well done. Like I said, there's a few flashbacks that feel like they take just a bit too long, and that's the other thing that feels a bit bloated. This movie could have probably had 30 or 40 minutes cut out of it, and it still would have worked perfectly fine, I think, in my opinion. That's what I think. But I still liked it. I still enjoyed it. But it's definitely not up there with the original Kingsman, of course, being a 10 out of 10 movie for me. And The Golden Circle being a good 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 movie. So The Kingsman, I'm going to give a solid 7 out of 10, a solid 7 out of 10. Just because it was a little bit boring and it did feel a little bit more less connected than the other Kingsman movies were, and it felt like you could have skipped this one completely and still understood what the Kingsman was as a service and how they began as well. But it was cool to see a little bit of detail on the father character and the son character and why he chose to do these decisions and why certain things they are the way they are in the Kingsman protocols and all those other things. But let me know down below what you guys thought of The Kingsman. I enjoyed it, 7 out of 10. It's not a bad movie, but it's not a perfect movie. It's not not even as good as the other two Kingsman movies, in my opinion. But let me know down below what you guys think. Make sure you like, subscribe, or share. And as always, guys, keep it right here on Dorkston. I've been your host, Ghost. Adios.